Hello dear crypto friends, welcome to this new video, and today it's time to talk about Ethereum. The biggest altcoin. So let's take a look at Ethereum and try to find out how high Ethereum will go in this bull market and what different scenarios we can envision for the next few months. And before we start with Ethereum, of course it makes sense to start with Bitcoin because as every altcoin, Ethereum is also following Bitcoin. Even though Ethereum is the biggest altcoin, it is still following Bitcoin, of course. So this is our long-term Bitcoin chart, and this is the current situation we're in. In the last video, I have talked about the implications of the Fed rate hike onto the Bitcoin price, and I have said that if the Fed hikes not as aggressively as the market is anticipating, then the dollar index will start dropping and consequently Bitcoin will start rising, and that is what I think is going to happen. And right now it looks as if Bitcoin is rebounding, which of course makes sense because the price was creeping higher whereas the RSI was making lower lows. So this was a hidden bullish divergence, and it's a very big one. It goes back all the way to 2020. So it's a super multi-year hidden bullish divergence that is in play here. So basically this looks quite like a bullish setup. For me, this whole structure here, I mean, many thought it's like an ABC correction, but for me this was always more like a running flat correction that Bitcoin is doing here, and then we will go to new all-time highs. But I said that this is only possible when the dollar index will start dropping, and yesterday in the Fed meeting they decided to raise the interest rate by 50 basis points, and the hilarious thing is that the next basis point hike for June was considered by the majority of the market to be 75 basis points, so an aggressive rate hike in June. And now Powell said, no, we will not hike more than 50 basis points. So this is below the market expectation, and therefore the dollar, what a surprise, started correcting yesterday. And if we are lucky, the dollar correction will continue. Let's have a quick look at the dollar index. So as we said, the dollar was rejected at this super important resistance level here, and it looks as if we are starting to drop. It's too early to tell, but the reaction yesterday was such that we are getting rejected at this level. And if this continues now, which I think is pretty likely as the market, as we said, has overestimated the aggressiveness of the Fed, I think the dollar index will start dropping now. And this will be the enabler for the next Bitcoin bull run, and consequently, of course, for the next altcoin bull run, and thus consequently, of course, for the next Ethereum bull run. That's why you are watching this video, right? So let's try to understand what Ethereum will do in the coming weeks and months. First, we take a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, so ETH BTC. ETH in relation to BTC. What can we find out? Well, it is printing a fascinating structure. Ethereum is behaving a bit differently than in the first years, right? In the first years we had aggressive rises, like really super aggressive, where in a time frame of only 2 years, ETH BTC went from 0.0015 to 0.15. Okay, so that is in relation to Bitcoin an x100 rise, 100x rise in 2 years. That is some insane growth, I would say. But we see that this time the rise is taking a lot longer and is not as steep anymore. Okay, so the steepness here was really high, and the steepness here now has decreased a lot. It has decreased a lot. So the all-time high of ETH BTC was here in June 2017 at 0.15. 0.15. What would that mean? What would it mean if now ETH BTC would pump to 0.15? Well, that would mean that the ETH USD price is 0.15 times the current Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin currently being at 39,469 as of time of recording of this video. So 39,469 times 0.15, we would be talking about an Ethereum price of $5,920. Let's try to think about if that makes any sense. If Ethereum would now go to $5,900, as we said, would that make sense market cap wise? 5,920 divided by 2,932. So we multiply the current market cap of Ethereum with a factor of 2. And then we are at 713 billion. So if Ethereum would now go to 0.15 to $5,920, the market cap of Ethereum would already be almost as high as the market cap of Bitcoin. So just slightly below the famous flippening, okay? But of course, we all know that the market cap of altcoins only rises drastically when we have massive Bitcoin pumps, because Bitcoin starts pumping, right? Bitcoin starts rising massively, and then with a delay of a certain time, the altcoins start rising. So if we look at the long-term behavior of Ethereum, ETH, BTC, and Bitcoin, what do we see? We see that the rise is first and foremost quite strong when Bitcoin has a bull market. So here the orange line is the BTC USD price, and the whole time when BTC had a bull market from 2015 to 2017, the whole time ETH BTC was also rising, okay? But then when Bitcoin had a bear market after early 2018 and Bitcoin was in a downtrend, then ETH BTC was also in a super strong downtrend, right? It went really from 0.123 to a low of 0.016. And then only now, when Bitcoin has started rising again in the last 2 years, that is when ETH BTC reversed and also started rising again, okay? So there's this very strong correlation of ETH BTC in regard to the price behavior of Bitcoin. And that is, by the way, true for all altcoins. All altcoins follow Bitcoin. The ratio of altcoins to Bitcoin is positively correlated to the Bitcoin price. So we can say that if Bitcoin would now go into a bear market, ETH BTC would follow accordingly. And that means that the price of Ethereum is just exaggerating the Bitcoin price movement. So if Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up even more. If Bitcoin falls down, drops, Ethereum drops even more by an even higher percentage. Okay, it's like altcoins are exaggerating the movement of Bitcoin. So now if Bitcoin, this orange line here, would start to go up again, if we now get a bull market, which I personally think is quite likely to happen because of the aforementioned reasons with the Fed, and we have talked about this in great detail in the last video, so watch the last video for my explanation why I think that the dollar index will be dumping and why I consequently think that we will see a bull run by the end of this year and Bitcoin will reach $230,000 later this year or early next year. So if that happens and Bitcoin pumps, Ethereum, ETH, BTC will consequently also start rising, and that means that Ethereum USD will consequently be pumping much more than Bitcoin. So what could be the highest price that Ethereum could achieve in this rally? Let's make a plausibility assumption. For this, we have to load the Ethereum USD chart. This is the long-term Ethereum USD chart, okay? What do we see? Well, we see something quite interesting. First of all, this whole structure here, this whole structure looks quite fascinatingly very similar to this structure, but stretched out, kind of stretched out and not as high, right? Let's compare these two structures here. Let's compare these two structures. I mean, look at this here. If I overlay this thing, it looks kind of similar, right? It looks kind of similar. We have a rise and then we have a plateau. It wobbles around, before the next steep rise. And I think that this is the situation we are having right now. We also have a pronounced hidden bullish divergence. The price here is making higher lows and the RSI is making lower lows, right? And it's also like a kind of a wedge structure. We are in a falling wedge, and falling wedges in the RSI, as falling wedges in the regular price, are bullish structures. So we are wobbling around, it's getting tighter, and then bam, it's breaking out. The RSI is breaking out to the upside, and that means, of course, that correspondingly the price is also breaking to the upside, right? We are going to the upside. But how high will we go? How high will we go? That is, of course, an interesting question that we all would like to know. So let's use our good old Fibonacci extensions. The Fibonacci extensions are always a good tool to measure potential moves and estimate how high a price movement will go. Now, the regular Fibonacci extensions, we are already almost there, right? We have reached almost the 3.618 Fibonacci extension, so there's not much more room to grow. So therefore, I think we need to use the full Fibonacci extensions, right? The full Fibonacci extensions from this move, from the top at 1,500 in January 2018, down to the lowest lows of around $80, which we hit almost twice, once in December 18 and almost the second time in the COVID low of March 2020. So what I think will happen now, Bitcoin will probably start rising, and I always say probably because there's no guarantees, friends. We are in coin land here. We have always to keep in mind anything can happen, and we always talk in probabilities, because even if I say that a bull market is likely, that is not 99.99%, okay? That is like 70, 75%, 80% tops. With a probability of around maybe 20%, Bitcoin will dump, and this whole scenario will be invalidated, because then we are going to $20,000 per Bitcoin, and consequently, of course, Ethereum will also dump. So this is only valid if Bitcoin pumps. And as I said, I think the probability for that scenario is higher. So Ethereum now will start rising after Bitcoin started rising, and rise, and then reaches the top at the full Fibonacci extension, the full 4.236 extension, at around $26,000 sometime, I think, in early 2023. Now let's make a plausibility assumption. Does that make even sense? Like 26,000, that is almost 10 times higher than now. Does that even make sense? Well, for that, of course, we have to consult our good old market caps. So I said Bitcoin will reach a top according to the long-term logarithmic regression channel at around $240,000 by the end of this year or early next year. So 240,000 divided by the current price, 39,583. That is a factor of 6.06, okay? So the Bitcoin market cap will be at $4.56 trillion. So if Bitcoin reaches $240,000, the Bitcoin market cap will be at 4.6 trillion. Now we said that Ethereum could reach, if we just go by the Fibonacci extensions, $26,000. Does that make sense? Is that plausible? Now, if we divide 26,000 by the current Ethereum price, 2,932, this is a factor of 8.867, and we multiply it with the current market cap of Ethereum, and we arrive at $3.13 trillion. Okay, that is interesting. We said Bitcoin at $240,000 would be at $4.6 trillion of market cap, and Ethereum at $26,000 would be at $3.13 trillion. So that is about 2/3 or about 70% probably of the market cap of Bitcoin. Is such a thing possible? Do you think it's possible? I would say yes. I don't see anything forbidding Ethereum of reaching 70% of Bitcoin's market cap during the very peak of this altcoin cycle. We go to CoinMarketCap, we just load Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this here is orange Bitcoin, the total market cap, and the dark purple line is Ethereum. And we see that In early 2018, Ethereum had 31% of the total market cap of all coins and Bitcoin had 38.69. So Ethereum was really getting very close to the market cap of Bitcoin, believe it or not. So that was not far away anymore from the market cap of Bitcoin. Therefore, I think a price target of $26,000, so the full Fibonacci extension in this cycle, is very realistic, as in this case Ethereum would be at around 70% of the total Bitcoin market cap. This is always a plausibility assumption that you can make every time if you calculate the price target of a certain coin. You can do this of course with all different coins. Then always think about, is the market cap plausible? Does it make sense that the price reaches such and such a level? Does it make even sense? And this plausibility assumption, in my opinion, is always a very good tool to basically check yourself if your price targets even make sense. So that is my picture for Ethereum for this bull run. I think we are going to hit 26,000. In a most extreme case, we could even go to almost the Bitcoin market cap, right? Then you have, like everyone is saying, the flippening is happening, the flippening is coming. Of course, it will not be coming. It's just a tool to get in newbie investors and then to dump huge amounts of overpriced Ethereum into their faces. Because I don't think the flippening will happen in this market cycle. Maybe it will happen at some point in the future. Maybe at some point Ethereum and Bitcoin will be almost at the same level, or Ethereum might overtake it, but I don't think that this will already be this market cycle. So I think the highest price possible is around 26,000, and maybe with a bit of luck Ethereum is overshooting and getting nearer to Bitcoin's market cap, and then we are talking about $30,000 per Ethereum. So Ethereum could do a 10x from here until the top of this cycle. That is my current view for Ethereum. Of course, I repeat, if Bitcoin dumps now and we are going to $20,000 per Bitcoin, which we can never fully exclude, then of course this whole analysis doesn't make sense. But as I said, I think the probability for that is not too high. Thanks for watching, dear friends. Next time we will talk about other altcoins. We will talk about Cardano. We will talk about the dog coins, Shiba Inu, dogs. I don't know how all those dog coins are called. About XRP, about Solana. We will analyze every single important altcoin in this market. Thanks, friends. Have a nice day and see you next time.